The Negro League Baseball Museum focuses on all the Negro League teams. For Kansas City, the gem was the Monarchs. So it's nice to just be able to have a spotlight on them and who they were and what they were to the city.
All right. Good morning. It's good to be together. I've been excited to spend time with Mark and talk a little baseball. When people ask me who is one of my favorite people I've ever met, one of the names I always mention is Buck O'Neil, who just amazed me with his stories of the Monarchs and baseball and his experiences. And he was just one of the most positive, happy people I think I've ever met or ever taken my boys to meet. We've got signed posters and signed balls and everything that Buck was always giving out. And when I heard about the rebirth of the Monarchs, I couldn't help but think that he would be pleased to think about the impact that team and that name had on kids for generations. And now to see that we have an opportunity to have that same inspiration again here in Kansas City. So excited to spend a little time with Mark and talk about that journey. Why don't you tell us a little bit just about your business journey and your entrepreneurial journey and the things you learned along the way and the inspirations for you and what led you to bring back the Monarchs and what your vision for that in our community.
I will. And Randy, thank you for allowing me to talk with your group, and very excited to be with you guys. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Mark Brandmeyer, very proud to be the owners of the Kansas City Monarchs, and to bring that iconic brand back to Kansas City. And Randy, I agree with you. Buck O'Neil was an incredible ambassador for Kansas City and for baseball, and beloved. So we're certainly going to be thinking about him as we take the field again on May 18th at our home opener. So, back a little bit about my career. I am a career med device person, and have created antiseptic product that we brought to market called ChlorPrep, which was still used in hospitals all over. We sold that business in 2008, and then since then I've been involved in a number of different entrepreneurial efforts, to include I work on a medical device technology and services fund at the Brandmeyer offices here. And then we also have an interior construction company called Built that does healthcare and office interiors. And then in 2019, as you know, in Kansas City, if you get a reputation of looking at different investment opportunities, things come across your desk, and this was one of the things that came across. And I did a little due diligence just because I was interested in what was going on out there, being a sports fan, and I originally said no to the opportunity because a little far afield for me in a business that I've been involved in before, but I had done quite a bit of financial due diligence on the business. And when the previous owners got into some financial trouble, I'll say, with the unified government, Mayor Alvey called me and said, "Hey, I really want you to take a look at this, because if somebody doesn't step in, we're going to lose. We'll lose this minor league team." And I thought back to when I was younger, and I really enjoyed the Kansas City Kings that played here in Kansas City, and I thought, what a really enjoyed those players and thought they were such a great asset for Kansas City. And when they left, like a lot of us, I thought, well, in 5 years we'll have another NBA team for sure. And then we never did get one. And then when the Sprint Center, came in, I thought, oh, for sure they'll put an NBA team here in Kansas City. And here it's been 35 years and we still don't have an NBA team. So when a city loses an asset like a minor league baseball team, it really loses something valuable for the city. It makes our city much richer to have sports teams, and makes this a better community to be involved in. So that was probably my main motivation. Was I was further down the line than anybody else to take this on. And the city of Wyandotte County has been great to work with, through this whole process, and Mayor Alvey. Now, little did I know I was going to have the worst possible timing to buy a minor league baseball team. Who would have predicted a pandemic that would have shut down baseball? And I certainly didn't. And then to go through that process, was painful and has been painful. But it did give me a minute to kind of think about what we were doing. And I'm so impressed with so many entrepreneurs who have weathered the COVID pandemic and then pivoted out of that and to do really exciting things with their businesses. Whether you be a restaurant that converted over to a takeout facility, and all the different things that all of us have had to go through to get to where we are right now. But it did give me a minute to think about the brand and what we wanted to do. And the T-Bones, have a long and successful history in Kansas City, but I never did just love the name. And so we kind of thought about a naming process. And as we went through that naming process, the Kansas City Monarchs name kind of rose to the top. I called Bob Kendrick, and we talked about it. And at first he was a little hesitant because, the Monarchs that's kind of his baby. And that's his, that is a beloved team here in Kansas City. But the more we talked about it, the more comfortable he felt and really saw the value in bringing that team back. It was, for the Negro League Baseball Museum, they're a non-endowed museum. So to have a consistent revenue source is important to them. And this offers that for them. But even more than that, when you have legacy brands that aren't active, you can only tell those stories so many times, and then or you can only go down to the museum. If you went twice a year, that would be a lot for anybody. And so this gives the museum and the Monarchs an opportunity to really tell an incredible story for Kansas City, and create a community gathering place that in Wyandotte County that I think is going to be very exciting and very, very, a great venue for this summer. And if you think about Kansas City and one of the stories, obviously the forming of the Negro League Baseball Museum, that was 100 years ago. And the fact that Kansas City embraced those 8 individuals to form a league at a time where in a lot of cities that wouldn't have been embraced, and maybe even met with a lot of resistance, but Kansas City did embrace that and really supported those individuals as they were forming that league, and then supported them at the games that they were that they put on. So and if you think about it, had that not have happened, baseball may have not have been integrated or integrated as fast as it was, even though it took 24 years. but it was really responsible for that, and then responsible for a lot of the civil rights movements that have taken us to where we are now. So I think as Kansas Cityans, we can be very proud of that heritage. It's something that all of our kids should know and learn, and so this is not just an opportunity for us to talk about baseball and how much fun we're going to have at the stadium, but also to be able to tell this rich story and this rich heritage that we have here in Kansas City. That said, we're still just a minor league baseball team, and we look for players that hit the ball the hardest and run the fastest and field the ball the best. So we're color agnostic, although about 50% of our team is black and brown, but at any one time it could switch, because our main goal is to help these guys get to the back to the major leagues. So we're a development program for the major leagues. We're what's considered a partner league in major leagues. So we're not affiliated with any one team, but we share the branding and the marketing efforts of MLB without the constraints of a major league team. So we can do things out at the stadium that are a little bit more fun and family friendly, and that's really our goal, to create a gathering place for Kansas City to come out and everybody have a great time and enjoy a great summer night of baseball.
You guys had to build a team from scratch, basically coming off 2 years of being shut down. When you go out and recruit, and your team goes out and recruits, what do you tell players about Kansas City? What's your story that makes them want to be a part of this Monarch story?
Yeah, so like a lot of with an affiliated baseball team, the team you're affiliated with is responsible for bringing your players in and your coaches. When you're an independent team, you have that we have that responsibility. So we have a great coach who has been our part of our team. All of these players sat last year. So anybody who has who's worked out a lot and then taken time off from working out, and then had to go back, you lose something, and so all these players are having to, you can only work out in the gym playing baseball so long before you really have to face live pitching and be in a live game to really develop your skills. So all of these minor league players are a little behind the curve in that none of them got to play last year. So we're excited for that opportunity. We have 10 players on our team that have major league experience. One player that a lot of Kansas City people may recognize is a young man named Chris Colon, who's an incredible individual. He arguably has 2 of the more clutch hits, or maybe most clutch hits, for the Kansas City Royals. He got a single in the game, the wild card game that in the 12th inning that wound up putting us in to the World Series. And then he had the game 5 12th inning go ahead run that allowed the Royals to win that game 5 in back when we were in the World Series. So he's 1,000% batting average in postseason play, and so we're really proud of him and proud to have him on our team. He's a great ambassador for us. But we have a lot of great players, so it's going to be fun to come out. You're going to watch competitive or baseball with guys who want to win. So it's going to be fun.
Let's go to Mike.
Hey, Mark, really appreciate what you're doing for the city and the team. I'm a Rotarian here in town and have been one of those guys that's been out on the street corner for the last 25 years selling newspapers on Royals opening day. And that partnership kind of ended. And I know that you guys have stepped in to fill that gap and create that community partnership with all the Rotary clubs across Kansas City. I just kind of wondered kind of what your approach was to things like that and getting more people back out there to the stadium, because there are going to be a group of people that this is kind of out of sight, out of mind. And so how do you look at the community and go, okay, how can we partner strategically and make the right moves here to get people to re-engage with this?
Yeah. I mean, that's a great, well, one of the things, you know, that I went into this was to I didn't feel like the T-Bones or the past owners were really involved in this community the way they could have been. So we were looking for opportunities. And one of the things we have developed is the Monarchs Youth Academy. Now we've just launched that. So it's kind of a fledgling organization, but it's really designed to promote youth baseball and softball, and then career development in the urban core, and primarily in Wyandotte County, I'll say. A lot of the and I've met with the Chiefs and the Royals. You know, a lot of their efforts are put in Kansas City, Missouri, and Kansas City, Kansas doesn't get, you know, quite as much attention. And so that's going to be a focus for us. We're working in tandem with the Royals on this, and then involving the Chiefs also in the Hunt Family Foundation. So not with any formal relationship, but just in the fact that we're talking and we share a lot of the same values in trying to move forward. And then one of those was, you know, I have a number of friends who are in Rotary and been Rotarians. I got to say, one of them is Joe Privatera, who's with Mark One, and we had talked with them about a number of different things, and Mark One is a great organization who does a lot in our community, but we thought if we could do something that would be good for us and help promote the Kansas City Monarchs and the Rotary, you know, why not? And the Rotary Youth Camp, I don't know if you guys know very much about it, and maybe we can talk about it. It's an incredible camp out at Lake Chicomo in Lee Summit, but services kids from all around our area who are handicapped, who would not have access to facilities like this, and supporting that is important. So what we did was we created a Monarchs pennant that the Rotarians are going to sell on the street corners. You know, they used to sell the newspapers, and I was even out there a couple you know, opener mornings. But instead of the Royals opener morning, which was usually cold and rainy, we're going to do it on May 18th. So that will be Kansas City Day. The Rotarians will be at the Hy-Vees. They'll be at the Roastery. They'll be at a number of coffee spots. And then we're going to have a virtual street corner on our website so that people can go. And you buy the pennant for $10. It's suitable for your office and any place else you want to. And then along with that will be a voucher for 2 tickets to any of the Monarchs games this season. So it's a great value, you know, way above what the $10. So like most of the Rotarians, you know, if you want to give more than 10, you can. But we're going to sell them for $10, and it's going to go to a great cause. And I think there are 33 Rotary chapters and over 1,200 members. So we're expecting those individuals to reach out on their social channels and really help drive this for Kansas City. We have 10,000 pennants printed, and we hope we sell out.
Very good. Well, thank you again for doing it. I know that was going to be a big gap for the Rotary Youth Camp, and it is an incredible camp that helps a lot of kids. And so another neat partnership. To just wonder if you ever think about us putting some type of an event, or not an event necessarily, but some reference to the American Jazz Museum out there at the stadium too, because it's so closely tied with the Monarchs. So that might be something cool.
Yeah,
I'll sign off now and let somebody else talk.
Yeah, we're certainly looking at different events, and a jazz event out there I think would be fabulous. We're going to have a great lawn or field out there that we could host all kinds of different events. So we're looking for that. One of the big lifts that we're doing, and another thing that kind of Chris and Angie Long have been good friends of mine for a long time. And Chris called me last, January and said, "Hey, I'm thinking about buying this this women's soccer team." And I'm like, "Chris, man, you may want to think about that because, COVID, and I just been through this, and who knows what's going to happen." But they did make the decision to do that, and now we're hosting the women's professional soccer out there. In fact, our first Challenge Cup game is on Monday, the 26th, and we could be more excited to have them out there at the stadium and hosting these incredible women. And again, for Wyandotte County, this is another professional team that is going to be out there, and it is and that's something not to be taken lightly. I mean, and I have 4 daughters, to have women that our daughters can look up to and want to emulate. I mean, they'll be a Patrick Mahomes, type player on this team. Not to mention there'll be Patrick Mahomes and his wife as part owners. So they'll be out there also, and they're really behind this and really supporting that. And I think back when Patrick was drafted, and nobody in Kansas City knew who he was, and now he's this icon, not just in Kansas City but all across the country, and he represents us so well as an individual and as a chief, and so I want our daughters to have somebody like that to look up to also.
Let's go to Bob.
Mark, I'm all in on the Monarchs. I've got my. Can you hear me? Okay, Randy?
Yeah, I can.
I've got my partial season tickets. Okay.
Awesome.
I've got my partial season ticket and have been to 10 or 15 T-Bowls games almost every year. How do you balance the integrity of the Monarchs brand with the fact that a lot of the American Association is kind of based on silly promotions? The every half inning somebody gets wet or falls down. You end up with 50-year-old former players, and the quality of baseball ranges from fantastic to just on the edge of slapstick. Is there any concern about sort of that brand bleeding?
Yeah, I guess our philosophy is really revolves around helping players get back to the MLB. So we're picking the best players, the hardest hitting players, that we can put together. Our plan is to tell the Monarch story along our game, and to educate our fans on who the Monarchs were. The Negro League Baseball Museum focuses on all the Negro League teams, but for Kansas City, the gem was the Monarchs. So it's nice to just be able to have a spotlight on them and who they were and what they were to the city. We're still going to have some fun things out there, and we're going to eat popcorn and peanuts and hot dogs. I mean, it's going to be a baseball game. We are doing our own food service, so our plan is to have an upgraded food and beverage out there. One of the things we're doing is we're rotating 6 different Kansas City barbecue purveyors through the stadium. So, I know for me, there's a barbecue place called the Jones Sisters. They're going to be one of our purveyors out there. I've always wanted to try them, but if it's not close to my house, it doesn't make sense for me to go there sometimes. And so hopefully it's going to give fans an opportunity to try some different things that they haven't tried before. It's we're going to have fun out there, but it's not going to be irreverent of the game of baseball, but it's going to be family friendly for sure.
Let's go over to Stephen.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about, and Mark, thanks again for this. We're all just giddy excited about the Monarchs coming back. I live in Lansing, Kansas, so I'm literally 12 miles away from the stadium and drive past it frequently. So we're going to spend a ton of time there. The thing that's on my mind is, with the storied reputation and legacy of this league, I'd just really like to hear a little bit more about the hurdles you had to overcome to bring it back and put that brand on this organization to move forward.
Yeah, I think, again, for the Negro League base, they've gone through a hard time too. And so revenues is important for them. But more than that, I think this partnership was important. The opportunity for Bob Kendrick, who's an incredible storyteller, to be a part of this organization, and for us to share in the different messaging that we can deliver. I think Bob trusts me, and vice versa in protecting this brand and this message. And so we're just couldn't be more excited. I would say the hurdle was, COVID was a huge hurdle. If you think about January and February, we were all still scratching our head going, are we really going to get past this? Or, is this going to continue to spike? Are we going to open the stadium with 20% capacity? Or, where are we going to fall? And so we're opening the stadium with 50% capacity, so we can host up to 4,000 people. And we're hoping that it's going to be lifted. But, like everybody else, I don't love going to a baseball game wearing a mask, but I'm going to do it because I love baseball, and at least it's, as a country, hopefully we're moving forward. Texas has 100% capacity, and they're no mask. And I hope that Kansas City is going to get there someday soon.
Thanks, Mark.
Let's go to John.
Hey, good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to visit with you this morning. I'm a T-Bones Monarchs fan now, and I appreciate that. I just was curious about the compensation, how players are compensated, and what the range might be, if that's something you're willing and comfortable disclosing, just sure. At a high level.
Yeah, no. So it's a published figure. So we have a cap on our team of a total payroll of $127,000. So that's split between 22 guys, and somewhat on their seniority. They don't come to play for the Monarchs because of a big paycheck. They love the game, and they feel like they have an opportunity to play in the major leagues. Either they a team. Well, one of the things that has happened recently is there's been a contraction in minor league baseball. So they went from 165 teams down to 120 teams. Because of that, there's a tremendous amount of talented players who, for one reason or another, didn't make a major league ball club. And so, but they feel like they still have an opportunity, and we want to showcase their talents and help them get back there. We've already, even so far this year, have had 2 players called up, one to the Minnesota Twins, and then we just had a player called up to the Marlins. So part of the reasons guys want to come play for us is that is how we approach it, and this gives them an opportunity to come here. We provide workout facilities, really good coaching. You know, one of our coaches is a 8-time Gold Glove winner, Frank White. You know, that's why they come to play here, and they want to be a part of this organization. Is because we give them the best opportunity in the league to you know, get a contract back with a major league team.
Thank you.
I want to jump down here to Marilyn because I think her question ties into what you were just talking about, and then we will come back up to Adam.
Okay. Well, I think maybe, Mark, you answered my question a little bit, because I was just curious, since you're not affiliated with a major league team, how do the players get the opportunities? How does that work? Because obviously it has to work differently. And I have to ask you too, before I moved to Kansas City, my company in New Jersey, we were one of the sponsors of the Camden River Sharks. So I have to ask you if you're playing the Camden River Sharks this year.
I'm sorry. What was your question?
Okay, my question was kind of twofold. I think you answered it partly because I was wondering how, since you're not affiliated with a major league team,
Yeah,
how do the players get the opportunities? It's obviously different. And
right.
Then I just wanted to tell you that before I moved to Kansas City, my company out in New Jersey, we were a sponsor for the Camden River Sharks. So,
I love that.
Oh, and they're great. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, talk
Yeah,
about
I've heard of them.
family together. And I'm just curious if you're playing the River Sharks this year.
You know what? So we're not playing the River Sharks. We did just add the Kane County Cougars to our league. So they're out of kind of Schaumburg, just in that area in Chicago. But we're happy to see them and play them. So a lot of it is there's a scouting network, I guess, that we're tied into, and so our films get circulated to all the different MLB scouts, and they have eyes on certain players that they want to see how they're going to develop as they're playing for us, and if they, feel like they develop to a place where they can really help a major league franchise, then they get pulled up.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Let's go back to Adam.
Hey, Mark, good to see you. Thanks for doing this. It's exciting to
Hey,
see
Adam.
it come to. Yeah, how you doing, buddy?
Good.
Who's a point of contact for sponsorship opportunities and partnerships with the Monarchs?
So Jeff Foster is our point of contact, and you can reach him. I'll give you his number. Is 913-328-5618. And and then of course I'd be happy to help you also.
Okay,
Anybody
great. I'll reach out.
Sponsor. Okay.
Cool. Thank you.
Yep.
Let's go to Neil.
Thanks, Randy. Mark, it's good to see you. I was at a session with Leeward Chamber of Commerce last week, and Susie House did a fantastic job of walking us through some of the great things that you have. But one thing that stuck with me, and I'd like you to kind of expand upon it, are the things you're bringing when the team is on the road. When the team goes to Sioux Falls, she talked about some things you're doing in Sioux Falls, and when they're in Fargo, what you're going to do in Fargo. Can you expand upon that a little bit? Because again, I think it's a great thing that you're doing to bring the story of the Monarchs out.
Yeah. So one of the things that we're doing that this allows us to do that maybe other teams, not that they didn't or couldn't, but maybe it just wasn't on their radar, is we're going to do some different what we call throwback games where we have the opposing team wear the uniform from one of the historic Negro League Baseball teams, and then during that game really focus on telling the story of the Negro Leagues, and which there's a lot and varied, and if anybody's been around Bob Kendrick, you could sit around for 2 hours just listening to him tell story after story about barnstorming and what that was like, and the Cuban teams, and I mean the history is very rich, but it gives us in our league to be able to tell that story. I know with Chicago we have a throwback game scheduled, and we have one scheduled with the Fargo team also. So and then the other thing is we're putting together a broadcast package that we can then share with other teams in our leagues so that they have easy access to the broadcasting assets and can really tell those stories when we're playing on the road.
Great. Thank you. It sounds great.
Mark, one of the trickiest things for any business is to, honor its past, but also adapt to the future, and so here you have a really treasured past and brand, but you also have to come up with ways to resonate and connect and build relationships with the fans and kids and players of the future. If you guys, I'm sure you've put thought into how you balance that. What does that look like for the Monarchs? Yeah.
And so we're really, I think one of the things that sporting really did, and I think anybody in the community recognizes, that they really kind of jumped out in front of the youth soccer market, and really have a nice development program for youth soccer, and not just from a soccer talent standpoint, although that's a big portion of what they do, but also from a youth development standpoint. We're going to work with the Royals to jump on, to really get out in front of the youth baseball market and really be active in a part of that. Not that there's not great youth baseball organizations, but the Royals really haven't been involved in one, and really put their name on one, and we haven't either. And so that's something we really want to work together with the Monarchs, really focusing in Kansas City, Kansas, and the Kansas area, and the Royals, more in the Missouri area. They do have the Urban Youth Academy, which they've developed, and it's a great facility. We'd love to have a facility like that in Kansas City, Kansas, for our kids that are growing up in that area, to help expose them and then develop them into baseball players and softball players.
There seems to be a sense of purpose behind this team and this brand, with all of the buzz about it here in the community. And those Monarchs of old inspired kids to believe they could go do things that maybe otherwise they might have not thought was possible. Where do you see this Monarchs brand and its impact on the community 5 years or 10 years from now?
Yeah, we hope to be to have the same impact. You know, one of our, you know, with the Monarchs Youth Academy, one of the tenets really is a career development. There's a number of people who, in fact, we probably all started our career as, you know, either in high school or college with an internship or an early job that helped really, you know, formulate who we, what we wound up doing in our career. And somebody took time to teach us, you know, and mentor us to get us to where we are. I certainly had those mentors, and so that's what we want to provide for these young kids. It's an opportunity for, if you want to, through our stadium internship program, whether you want to go into broadcasting, whether you want to go into team, you know, training or medical. There's field management. There's concessions, and then sales and marketing and hospitality. There's all kinds of different internships with this program. This year we already have 22 interns that are going to intern with us so far this summer, and we're just looking to build that, you know, on and continue to grow that program.
Do you view this, and do the Royals view this as additive to the baseball community of Kansas City, or competitive to what the Royals are trying to do? How do you guys manage that?
You know, I think we don't necessarily look at each other as competition. Certainly, the Royals are an incredible organization. They play a different role. I would say we're maybe a little bit more of a value play in Kansas City. You know, to take all your kids to a Royals game, you know, can be, you know, for some families, they might only be able to do that once or twice a year. And for that same money, you could go to a Monarchs game, you know, twice a month, and for the same money. So we really welcome fans. It's you know, I think you're going to see just as competitive baseball, but in a little smaller, more intimate stadium. You know, where, you know, it is fun to be in the stands, where you can really hear the crack of the bat and hear the players, you know, going back and forth, and the you know, the pitcher and catcher talking, you know, as they're playing the game. That really makes this an intimate sport, and it's going to make it a lot of fun.
You know, for anyone that was out at the old T-Bones, you've done a lot of renovations. What will people see when they come to the stadium now?
Yeah, one of the things that we're really excited about is just, you know, overall, I would say that we went through was, if anybody's lived in their house while they renovated it, it can be painful, and that's kind of what we've done here. So one of the things we did is we've renovated all of our suites, and we've done something very unique in the sports world. We took away the indoor space, so we moved the glass wall that was in the space back 8 feet, and we created an outdoor patio. So not only is there 12 padded seats in our suites for people that want to sit and watch the game, but there's also an outdoor patio, soft seating that we've created along with the indoor space. So those are going to be great for entertaining and for clients or customers. Certainly any kind of reward. You know, I say for salespeople, there's no better place to build a relationship or reward a current client than to take them to a game. You get to spend 3 hours with them. in an atmosphere that's fun and exciting, and you can really have an opportunity to build relationships. And then the other thing we did is we took 8 suites along our third base side, and we created one big what we're calling the Legends Club. And the Legends Club is just an opportunity. It's 120 fixed seats. It's an all-inclusive ticket, so you get your food and beverage included. So it's a great place for your sales guys that you don't have to worry about splitting the check and who's going to pay for what. You just get to really entertain, customers or clients, or just reward employees for a great job well done. And I think especially right now coming out of COVID, that's going to be really important. We all want to reconnect with our customers and reconnect with our business clients to rebuild those relationships. And the Monarchs game is going to be a great place to do that.
Well, this was awesome, Mark. I'm glad you joined us. This is a exciting story. I think it's going to have a real impact on folks and on our community, and the chance to tell this story live out on the field. And I'm excited to get out there and see what you got going on.
Yeah, Randy, thanks for hosting us. Anybody who is interested in tickets or Legends Club or suites, if you go out to monarchs.com monarchsbaseball.com and go to our ticket page, tickets are available. And I really appreciate everybody on this call and encourage you to support the Monarchs this summer. I want to see everybody come out to a game, and it's going to be for those pinstripes to hit the field again for the first time in 60 years is going to be historic. So everybody needs to be there to see that.
So I'm putting in the chat here, monarchsbaseball.com for the team site. And for anyone who wants to reach you, do you have an email where they can reach you?
Sure. At M Brandmeyer, BRANDMEYER at monarchsbaseball.com.
And I'll put that in the chat for you as well.
Great.
Well, great job. Great work on collaborating with Bob Kendrick and the team there to bring this name back to life. And I know it's going to have an impact on kids for a long time.
Great. Thanks. Thank you so much. And thanks for having me.
It's great to have you here. Great to see everyone again. We will see you all next week. Have a great weekend.